Over the past year, prices of essential goods were increased on numerous occasions. Now, this was evident last night with the latest price revision of a 12.5 LP gas cylinder. For a comprehensive report on this, join us on Weekend Primetime News at 9 tonight.
A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of Weekend Primetime News. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First, a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
The Lanka Samasamaj Party decides to abstain from voting on the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice. Deputy Speaker says before a Parliament Minister or a civil servant is to give evidence, permission must be obtained. United National Party parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala states that if the impeachment motion is carried out against the order of the Supreme Court, it is legally possible to suspend the seats of parliamentarians. Investigations into the assassination of UPF Kalniya Pradesha Sabha member Hasitha Madawala handed over to the CID. Australia defeats Sri Lanka in all 3 test matches.
And now for the stories in detail. The Lanka Samasamaj Party has decided to abstain from voting when the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice is taken up in Parliament. Speaking to News First, media spokesperson of the LSSP, Venerable Babegama Samithatara, expressed these views.
The Central Committee of the Lanka Samasamaj Party decided today that when the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice is taken up for debate in Parliament and a vote is called for, the LSSP will abstain from voting. What we did today was consent to a previous decision taken by the Socialist Front, which comprises of the Sri Lanka Communist Party, the LSSP and the Democratic United Front of Vasudeva Danayakara's party. Today we have decided to act in accordance with this decision. Our objective is to abstain from voting.
But here are some of the views that have been expressed on the political stage regarding the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice.
Leave aside powers related to parliamentary privileges, it is only judicial power that has been entrusted to the judiciary by Parliament. Even Parliament officials must obtain special permission from Parliament if they are to testify before another institution regarding parliamentary affairs or affairs related to a parliamentary committee. According to Section 17 of the Act, if a parliamentarian or other parliamentary official testifies before a separate institution regarding parliamentary matters without obtaining special permission, then action can be taken against them. When parliamentarians are appointed, they take an oath to obey the constitution of the country and to safeguard it. The Supreme Court gave a clear verdict last week saying that the impeachment motion is against the constitution. If the government parliamentarians carry out the impeachment motion against the decision of the Supreme Court, they will thereby violate the oath taken to safeguard and protect the constitution. By doing so, it is legally possible to suspend their parliamentary seats.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු ආසනය අහිමි කිරීමට නීතියෙන් ඉඩක් ලැබෙනවා.
Letters reprimanding me have been sent to my residence. Threatening telephone messages have been left for me. But everything I did with one ideal in mind. I like the judicial system. Even tomorrow, if my political career ends, I will go to the judiciary. I wish for the judicial system to be independent and strong and not fall into the hands of opportunists. That is why I sat in that select committee and took this decision. Now there are several arguments as to whether the Parliament has been provided this power by the Constitution and regarding the standing orders of Parliament. It is my view that the Constitution recognizes 2 divisions of law in the country. One is the laws that are enacted in Parliament and second is the standing orders implemented for parliamentary affairs. They are both law. If a country is to have stability, then unity among the executive, legislature and judiciary is crucial. We are asking that the government follow the Supreme Court's verdict. This verdict must be accepted. If the government does not follow this verdict and acts in an ad hoc manner, forcefully destroying the independence of the judiciary, then we will have to use the power of the people and bring the people onto the streets to block the government's undemocratic campaign and protect the independence of the judiciary. Articles 141 to 5 of the Constitution deal with the independence of the judiciary. The first article is regarding appointments. The second article notes that the position will be held as long as they are functioning normally. The next paragraph deals with what should happen if this is not the case. A charge sheet can be brought forward. More than 75 MPs have to be signatories to it. It needs to be submitted to the Speaker, and a select committee must be appointed to examine it and submit a report. But when our people talk about the independence of the judiciary, what do they say? They talk about interference in the judiciary. But that is not what is said in the Constitution.
දැන් ආණ්ඩුව පොළොවේ පස් කතා මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ තීරණේ පිළිගන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
The government is now eating soil off the ground and saying they will not accept the Supreme Court's verdict. If we take it simply, what does this entail? The Constitution has given the Supreme Court the power to interpret the Constitution. The Supreme Court has acted in accordance with the Constitution. The government says they will not accept this decision. The government, which sought to uphold the Constitution, is violating it. So if the government is violating the Constitution, can they call on ordinary people to uphold and enforce the law?
මේක දෝෂාභියෝගයෙන් නම වැරදිලා මේක ද්වේෂාභියෝගය. එතුමිය විසින්ම යම් යම් දෙයට වරදකරුවන්
People who are found guilty by her in various cases are hearing this case. From this we can see that this is a malicious motion. When she came to respond, she was harassed and insulted. Therefore this is a malicious motion. What they want is to undermine the law and appoint henchmen who will give verdicts in favor of them. What happens to us? We are left to despair.
සමච්චලයට පත් කරලා. මේ තමන්ට පක්ෂපාතී තීන්දුවනේ හෙන්චයියෙක් පත් කරගන්න. ඒකනේ අවස්ථාවේ. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? අපි අනාථ වෙනවා අසරණ වෙනවා.
Now, speaking at a Sasanattarana program in Benthuda today, UNP Deputy Leader Sajid Premadasa expressed these views.
In 2005, the Supreme Court acquired to submit an interpretation on whether President Chandrika Kumaratunga's 6-year term was to end in 2005 or 2006. When the Supreme Court determined that the presidential election must be held in 2005, the determination was applauded and accepted. At this instance, I must state that those individuals who accepted the determination in 2005 must now bow their heads and accept the determination of the court, which points out that the impeachment motion cannot be implemented under Standing Order 78A of Parliament. Sajid Premadasa made a financial donation to the Hamburugala Sri Niketanarama Viharaya in Horavela, Benthuta today under the Sasanattarana program.
The Asian Legal Resource Centre, in a letter to United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Navi Pillay, states that the ALRC expects the UN human rights mechanisms and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to have within their means and the capacity for immediate intervention concerning the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice in Sri Lanka. The ALRC notes that if no actions are taken now, no amount of condemnations later would help repair the damage. When Human Rights Commission, Navi Pillay, Asian Legal Resource Centre notes that despite the interpretation by the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka that has clearly declared the absence of legality in the current process adopted to impeach judges in Sri Lanka, the ALRC wishes to bring to the notice of Navi Pillay that the government is proceeding with impeachment on the basis of a report filed by 7 members of the Parliament out of the 11-member Parliamentary Select Committee. The letter states that the government proposal for the removal of the CJ, if proceeded, will essentially lead to a direct confrontation of the executive and the parliament with the Supreme Court. The ALRC letter adds that the result of all this will be the reduction of Sri Lanka's judiciary to become a mere administrative body without judicial authority or independence that is required to uphold the rule of law or to protect the rights of individuals. The letter urges the intervention of the UN Human Rights Commissioner with the government of Sri Lanka and make use of all powers of the High Commissioner that her mandate warrants and could exercise to prevent this catastrophe in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the Asian Human Rights Commission notes that the coming 5 days are historical for Sri Lanka, and if the government's declared intention to abide by the PSC report succeeds, democracy in Sri Lanka will sink. Issuing a release on its website, the Asian Human Rights Commission states that the people will lose the protection of the rule of law and will be under a virtual dictatorship. Well, up next is the newspaper cartoon of the day.